to the days of feudalism when the lords owned the land and the serfs did the work. And a historian of debt says that what went around then is coming back now.
The price of getting a home in America is to enter into a lifetime of debt servitude.
In a sense, have we become serfs? You know, are working people...
We've become mobile serfs in America. The families are tied to the debts, and no matter where they choose to live, they have serfdom with a free choice. And the free choice is just where you want to live and what bank you want to borrow the money from.
This is truly a serfdom of the 21st century, where for many millions of people there is no hope in sight.
Is reaching into medieval times going too far? Not to Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who has been crusading on these issues.
Feudal lords reigned, and I believe that if we don't take an SOS moment, like the stop sign at the end of the block, we're going to, if you will, throw throngs, thousands, millions of Americans into a debt that they'll never reach out of. And we also will change the whole fabric of society. It will not be the haves and the have-nots. It'll be the giants and the little people.
Historically, there were debtors' prisons. Now, for many, our homes have become our prisons. It's there we try to figure out how to make ends meet and keep a roof over our heads.
We don't lock people up anymore, but we certainly keep them trapped at the mercy of a very powerful lending industry. We've set up a system where people are cashing out equity in their homes, which for the majority of Americans is their primary source of wealth. They're using that to chase down better interest rates because they're being ripped off by a credit card industry. We've really left people with nowhere to turn for help.
Officials in the know take these parallels literally. If there's a truth-telling hero in Washington on this issue, it's this man, David Walker, our Comptroller General, who audits all federal budgets. He's been called Dr. Gloom for comparing the USA today to ancient Rome before its decline. In a 2005 report to Congress, this high-level official warns, continuing on this unsustainable path will gradually erode, if not suddenly damage our economy, our standard of living, and ultimately our national security. The financial analysts behind this new book on debt say an epic financial crisis is coming.
In the 1920s, one of the things that brought about the Depression, among others, was this exuberance, this foolishness in the investment of speculative stocks. Listen, I think the next great economic crisis in this nation is going to be brought about by the debt load and the high rates of interest that are charged from it. It is shocking to me that intelligent people, educated people, have not taken time to think about this. We cannot sustain over an extended period of time these high levels of debt, particularly at high rates of interest. Because what will happen is that whenever it comes to an end, and there is an end to the amount of credit. In other words, when it gets so leveraged, it will create an economic crisis so deep that it'll threaten us as a nation.
Republicans worry too. Reagan conservative Bruce Bartlett charges that the Bush administration bankrupted America. He fears a market crash when the housing bubble bursts.
One of the scary things for me is that there's probably close to $1 trillion of approved credit that's sitting either in people's pockets or somewhere in their house. And what I mean by that is credit cards, no fee, that they have been issued that they're not using. Now, if the economy develops more difficulties and people have to take those cards out of their drawers or wherever they're keeping them, and they start to use them, that credit's already been approved. This is high risk, quite dangerous credit, but before somebody loses their home or has to take their kid out of school, they're going to burn through all the approved credit that exists. It is scary, and I think it could be the next bubble after the housing bubble.
Whenever you do, your debts will accrue and give You may not know you know someone. I mean, your coworker may look all sad and you think it's her boyfriend. It's really the fact that she owes $15,000 in credit card debt, another $20,000 in educational debt, and is getting calls all day and all night and can't sleep. But she does not share that with you.
More than 2 million Americans went bankrupt in 2005. Among them, Joe Sucher, a fellow film producer.
Bankruptcy was kind of like a foreign country I didn't want to visit, sort of a judicial Baghdad. Frankly, I didn't even know what the term meant until one day I happened to turn on C-SPAN.
The word bankrupt as we know it today comes from the 16th century Italian bancarotta, which literally means broken bench, referred to in a legend that said when a money trader became insolvent, the bench or table on which he used in the market was literally broken. The Latin root of the word includes corrupt in the meaning.
I'm not particularly religious, but Jesus was a very peaceful man, right? He was, not a violent guy. The one time he was a little violent is he went into the temple, and Citibank, Chase Bank, MBNA were there changing money, and he took their tables and he threw them on the ground. Okay, we want to get biblical about this. Well, let's get biblical about this. They're making 54% net profit. That is evil. And they're making it off the poorest members of our society. That is evil.
After a 15-year marriage, 2 kids, I found myself in divorce hell. Legal briefs filed faster than speeding bullets. In the end, I had little in the way of savings and less in the way of income, but I did have credit cards. I used them to keep up with my bills, and the offers just kept coming. Low APR, put more muscle into your account, balance transfers. I needed to pay the mortgage, child support, home equity. I was over my head and I began missing payments.
Soon the offers turned to threats.
We're attempting to reach you because we need to speak to you. I received an email from my people saying that we need to get in contact with you, and hopefully you get this message, you can return my call.
There is a stigma to filing bankruptcy, and really the credit card industry counts on that stigma, because most of our clients, they wait 3 to 6 years before they file. They only come when they can't take it anymore. They come in shaking. They haven't slept for months.
In this weird financial netherworld, I was discovering all sorts of seamy and slimy little profit niches. The attorneys, the debt collectors, the lingo and language all coded under ambiguous phrases like skip tracing, scrubbing. One company even advertised the profit potential offered by bankrupt individuals even if they were dead. So from research I had done, I knew that there were credit card giants like MBNA putting a lot of money into efforts to write legislation to revise the old bankruptcy bill. And I knew that there were Congress people like Chuck Grassley and Orrin Hatch, frankly, who were using a lot of scare tactics in order to get this bill passed.
Where the average person in America is paying $550 per person additional for goods and services because somebody else didn't pay their bills.
I tried avoiding the calls, but occasionally I get caught, and then I try to reason with them. Some were sympathetic. They even sounded like human beings.
I hope you better things happen for you.
Well, as you know, a lot of people in this country right now are in the same position.
Oh, so many. You don't even know, sir. No, the rich get richer, and the middle class stay poor.
Now, the principal substantive argument we have heard here is that this bill goes too far and too fast. This really is just the same old song that we've heard now for 8 solid years as we've tried to put this bill together, and it has always had huge bipartisan support. That's bipartisan support, Democrat and Republican support.
$5 billion. $5 billion to the credit card companies. That's what this bill is all about. Where do you think it comes from? People who have gone into bankruptcy. Who are those people? They are the people that have the heart attacks. They are the men and women whose jobs have been outsourced. They're the mothers, the single moms who aren't getting paid back on alimony and child care support. Those are the people that are being hurt.
Kennedy won people's hearts, but the credit card industry won the vote. Bankruptcy reform passed, and President Bush quickly signed it into law. In 6 months, it would take effect.
President Bush signed a sweeping revision of bankruptcy rules today. The new law makes it harder to erase debts by declaring personal bankruptcy. At today's ceremony, the president said it will cut down on fraud. Opponents have said it helps creditors at the expense of the poor.
Do you think, in a worst-case scenario, could I lose the house?
Joe found that the new bankruptcy bill limited his own options.
Even in bankruptcy, they can still come after you. And when you think you've dealt with one pest, another pops up. Like that arcade game, Whack-A-Mole.
Joe is still fighting to keep up his morale and also keep his home, which showed up on foreclosure.com. He's not alone.
Having to declare bankruptcy is a very difficult situation.
Lorraine Bracco, who plays the therapist on the Sopranos TV show, went through a similar ordeal.
You know, bankruptcy is very expensive. The attorney fees are a fortune. I blamed myself for getting myself in this situation. We think every actress or movie star or every rich person has no problems. And we're just like everybody else.
If the bankruptcy laws become more difficult, you're going to find that the banks and the financial lenders all of a sudden will be saddled with assets, houses, whatever they can recover, that they really don't want, and they're going to have a lot of trouble disposing of. There has to be a reduction in the level of consumerism. As people essentially go under in various ways, that triggers a vicious cycle of even more economic collapse. Now you have almost the perfect storm.
The victims of Hurricane Katrina found their finances devastated, along with their homes and communities. The so-called bankruptcy reform bill passed just weeks earlier specifically ruled out floods as grounds for bankruptcy.
3 years ago, you might have been a homeowner in New Orleans. Your husband might have been working. You might have been working. Today, you've lost everything. The bankruptcy bill would, in essence, force you out of the bankruptcy courts because 2 years ago, you're well-to-do middle-class people.
When the levees, they are leaking and the storm has hit you hard, help is on the way, my friend, they send you a credit card. You can live in a posh hotel room with Granny and Cousin Bud till you reach your credit limit, then you're back in the rain and mud. Give me a little more plastic.
Many people get behind on their credit cards when family emergencies like health crises, job loss, and divorces occur. Sometimes you can't anticipate what is the unimaginable. David Aguilar's business came crashing down with the World Trade Center. He had financed it on credit cards. As business slowed, he could no longer pay back. He was forced into bankruptcy.
The situation forced me to close the business. One day I realized I couldn't do anything. I sent everybody home. I closed the business. I couldn't make any profit anymore. I tried to be responsible, even if to pay my rents, to take care for my kids, for my house, but I couldn't anymore because I feel a lot of pressure for my debts. My debts don't let me to sleep, don't let me to breathe or to live in peace.
My next question, Mr. Speaker, is whether or not this old stale bill respond to the medical causes of bankruptcy that shows that because there's death in the family, illness or injury, people go who try to repay their bills and they fall into bankruptcy.
We are at a point of going over the flat earth, falling off the edge. And if we don't gather our thoughts together to refocus this credit card system or the credit system of America, you will have a nation of debtors.
What I don't understand is why Congress has allowed this.
We're kicking up Congress's keys. They're like our employees. We're stacking the decks by writing the checks so we